Once upon a time, on the edge of a dark forest, lived a young girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She lived in a small cottage with her overprotective mother.
Hang on a minute. Do we have to start it like this?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not as if nobody knows this story. It's a classic fairy tale.
Well, where else would you start it?
Well, I don't know, but we've got to make it attractive to a modern audience. I mean, come on. People are going to be a bit tired of this stuff by now.
Well, I was getting to that if you just let me finish. Anyway, she lives on the edge of this dark forest filled with dangerous animals. And this could be interpreted as an inner city or a slum. And she lives on the edge of this city with her overprotective mother.
Oh, so did her parents have a divorce? My parents had a divorce.
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
So what happened to her dad?
I don't know, he wasn't in the story.
Well, why not?
I don't know, it's just not relevant. The story is about the fact that her mother is trying to protect her innocence. She doesn't want her one and only daughter going out and being corrupted. She's overprotective. And that is why Red confronts her mother about it. And she tells her, "I'm grown up now, teach me about the world." But the point is, she sends Red off to stay with her granny. So before Little Red Riding Hood leaves the safety of her mother's house, she gives her one piece of advice. She tells her to stay on the road. The forest is full of dangerous animals, but if they won't bother her if she stays on the road.
Why wouldn't they bother her?
Well, because she's on the road. There are coppers on the road, you know, travellers. They're not going to attack her in the middle of a busy street. Anyway, she leaves her mother's house and heads off down the road. And it's at this point in the story, as Little Red Riding Hood is happily walking down the road, that she meets the wolf.
Wait, so why did she go off the road?
I didn't say she goes off the road.
But she meets the wolf, right? You said the dangerous animals. You said they wouldn't bother her if she was on the road.
Of course she meets the wolf. That's the whole fucking point of the story. The wolf is masquerading as man. He's a metaphor. He's a metaphor for muggers and rapists. He's not actually a wolf.
Well, and she talks to him because she doesn't know any better.
Exactly. Red has led such a sheltered life. Her mother has neglected her parental duties, and if she just sat her down and said, "I'm going to tell you about the world," none of this shit would have happened. Anyway, where were we?
She was about to meet the wolf.
Oh yeah, so she meets this wolf, and she thinks, "Oh, he's just a nice traveller, he's not too bad."
What? She doesn't realise she's talking to a fucking wolf just because he's dressed as a guy.
I've already told you, he's not a wolf. He's a metaphor. He's a metaphor for muggers and rapists.
My jeez. I was only saying, like, there's some considerable plot holes in the story.
Look, people know the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Everyone knows it. They're just gonna know what's going on, okay?
Okay. Alright, so why didn't he just assault her there? I mean, we could cut out the whole bit of Granny's house and make this a short film.
Haven't I already explained that he can't attack her in the middle of a busy street? There are people around, and anyway, if we cut it there, that defies the most basic laws of narrative.
Hang on a minute, how does the wolf even know where her Granny's house is?
Red could have told him earlier. I mean, they were chatting. Anyway, it's not as if her mother ever said, "Don't talk to strangers."
Come to think of it, she's a pretty rubbish mother anyway, isn't she? Sending her own kid out into the forest by herself.
Yeah, so the wolf goes to Granny's house, eats her, and puts on her clothes.
Come on, I know Red doesn't know shit, but you think she'll be able to tell the difference between her own granny and a fucking wolf?
It's a metaphor. It doesn't have to make perfect sense.
So what's the metaphor for a cross-dressing wolf?
Would you shut up and let me finish the story? Little Red goes to Granny's house just after dark and is told by a very deep voice. She says, "Come in, warm yourself by the fire."
Sorry, that's classic.
Now, Little Red's a bit worried. Grandma's got a bit of a beard and her voice is all husky.
I mean, granted she's young and all, right, but I'm starting to think there's something seriously wrong with this girl.
Look, Red just thinks that's how old people are. She's led such a sheltered life, she doesn't know what an old woman looks like. And she says, "Grandma, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with," Wolf replies. "Grandma, what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with," replies the wolf. It's at this point that Red starts to get a bit suspicious.
You think?
And then she says, Grandma, what big teeth you got? That might be good, because where it hits the fan.
Oh right, so that's when the woodcut shows up with Zax, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was in one of those sensitive versions. Make sure the kids didn't get upset at the end.
Sounds a bit too cliche. It's supposed to be a gritty, realistic take on the story. It doesn't have to have a happy ending.
Oh, so this isn't marketed to kids then?
Yeah, but you know kids these days, running around after dark, swearing at OAPs, little shits a lot of them. Having Red raped and murdered isn't going to traumatize them. If anything, it's going to entertain them. Besides, having Red murdered at the end, probably going to be good for us. Show these kids something they haven't seen before.
What, like, not every story has a happy ending?
Exactly. That someone isn't always going to run in and save your sorry ass just before the credits roll.
I'm not sure about this.
About what?
Stop.
Well, the whole story.
It's a perfectly good story.
Well, people aren't going to sympathise with a main character that can't tell the difference between a wolf and her grandmother.
Alright, I admit it's a little far-fetched. What about Goldilocks?
No!
3 Little Pigs? Come on, there's got to be something for it.
Enough of the fairy tale.
Hansel and Gretel?
No!
With your feet on the air, your head on the ground.
I'm grown up now. Teach me more.
But there's nothing in it, and all I can say. Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
Sorry, I looked at the camera.
My mind.
I'm the wolf!
You could.
Big eyes you have. All the better to see you.
Here, see you isn't an actual anytime.
Oh, he's filming! Oh no!